Good morning. I'm Dr. Nabila Sadiq from Sarojini Naidu Center for Women's Studies, Jamia Millia Islamia. I welcome you to the module that deals with waves of feminism or gender theories. In this module, I will be discussing the different waves of feminism along with the various feminist theories and how it is transforming itself today due to various contemporary issues. After studying this module, you shall garner knowledge about feminism, the waves of feminism, various feminist theories, transforming feminism and gender theory, feminist standpoint theory, feminist pedagogy, feminist post-humanities. Introduction, defining feminism. The origin of the term feminism can be traced back to France. This term combines the word femme, meaning woman in French, and the suffix ism, which signifies a political position. In the 1880s, the term referred to those defending the rights of women. However, over the years, the meaning of feminism has never been constant or fixed. In general, it has ever referred to the political activism of women for women. Thus, feminism from the start has been a mix of a movement and an ideology that seeks to acquire all kinds of equal rights for women in society. Though feminism started out in achieving equal rights for women, it slowly branched out to fight for the rights of other genders in the late 20th century and become intersectional. The different feminist theories that exist today have changed in a manner so as to make space for differences and include works on queer, masculinity, disability, and so forth. Influenced by mainstream theories like liberalism, socialism, and Marxism, it has evolved into varied schools of thought to come up with its own epistemology. Over the years, feminism has been divided into waves by some feminists. Further, the division of waves is neither universal nor are they dichotomous. Hence, the wave metaphor has often been questioned. Today, gender theories are experiencing change and adapting to new perspectives and ideas. The change is coming with women and other genders donning new roles and entering previously male-dominated fields. For example, new thoughts pour in from women working in the field of science and technology, where they are addressing the prejudices and difficulties they face, and in doing so are changing the outlook of men associated with those fields, and in a way bringing change in the society in general. Furthermore, gender is being mainstreamed into every aspect of society by becoming more and more inclusive and intersectional, by allowing perspectives from different classes, races, genders, sexualities, and ethnicities to enter its prism. In this way, gender perspectives are bringing new knowledge bases and giving voice to the voiceless. In short, gender theories are transforming gender studies as an academic discipline in the 21st century. Gender theory and feminism. There exists no ultimate feminist consensus about the meaning of gender, but its varying usages share one thing in common, and that is the explicit rejection of the belief in gender as a natural phenomenon. Significantly, this reveals a clash between biological determinists and social constructivists, implying a discord between natural and constructed. Initially, the terminology of sex was used to connote anatomical and physical differences deemed natural that set apart the male from the female over the centuries. However, the feminists adopted the term gender in the 1970s that stimulated debates about nature and nurture in social sciences. Though most theories agree that humans are a product of both biological and social processes, but some give more importance to biology while others see the social factors as more crucial. Today, gender has become a highly contested concept within feminist theory. The following figure clearly depicts the various ideas related to gender in feminist theory. Against the naturalist assumptions about maleness and femaleness, feminists in the early 1970s introduced the term gender in order to call into question any universalist claims about what it is to be a man or a woman. By the end of the 1980s, the use of the term gender was not only widely adopted but had also given rise to a variety of usages and various contestations of its meaning. The waves of feminism. In the late 1960s, some feminists started referring to their movement as the second wave of feminism. Martha Weinmar Lear has often been hailed as the one who started the talk about waves with publication of her article, The Second Wave. This wave metaphor was dividing different points in history into different waves and was mostly associating one wave with one strand of feminism. That is one reason that waves were often seen as reductive and misleading. More recently, there have been talk about the fourth wave. This wave of feminism is bringing new issues such as campus rape, workplace discrimination, and sexual harassment into its purview. One example of this wave has been the Me Too movement. Feminist theories. The following chart sums up the central ideas associated with the core gender theories today. First wave of feminism, liberal feminist theory. The theory that influenced and is associated with the first wave of feminism was liberalism. The liberal feminist theory has been influenced by the liberal school of thought and saw inequality between the sexes as the root cause of oppression for women. It believed that all individuals, men as well as women, are free, rational beings who deserve equal rights. This theory followed the sameness view, which saw men and women as similar beings and sought to change society through legal reforms rather than revolutionary methods. Mary Wollstonecraft's A Vindication of the Rights of Women served as one of the first instances of liberal feminist thought in the 18th century. Focus of her work was on education. She felt that society owed girls the same education as boys to give them an equal chance to develop their rational and moral capacities. She urged women to become autonomous decision makers. Similar to her line of thought, John Stuart Mill and Harriet Taylor also celebrated equal liberty and rationality. Some of the other important thinkers of liberal feminism were Betty Friedan, Susan B. Anthony, and others. Focus of the school shifted to women's suffrage in the late 19th century and to equal rights in the early 20th century. Liberal feminism informs two distinct trends, classical and welfare. The classical school seeks limited governmental intervention along with a free market, and the welfare school advocates for preferential treatment in jobs and education for women until equality is reached in society. However, feminists went silent in their activism after women won the right to vote. It is only in the 1960s that revival of liberal feminism happened. Betty Friedan was a key player in this second wave. In this renewed phase, liberal feminism fought for reproductive rights, equal pay legislations, educational rights, etc. Though often dismissed for being a white upper class movement, liberal feminism helped women gain some important political, economic, educational and social rights. Second wave of feminism. The second wave of feminism began in the 1960s and continued till the early 1990s. After the suffrage movement ended, feminists took a backseat. The second wave arose in the context of civil rights movement, anti-war agitations and minority rights movements around the world. This was also the period when New Left was on the rise, and hence this wave was highly revolutionary and radical. Sexual and reproductive rights issues were the prominent one in this wave, and focus was a lot on getting the equal rights amendments passed world over. The two prominent school of thoughts that are associated with this wave are radical and socialist. Liberal feminism was also revived again in this wave by Betty Friedan. Apart from these major schools, ecofeminism, radical cultural feminism, psychoanalytic feminism, etc. also emerged during the second wave. The rise of postmodernism also influenced feminism in this phase. Furthermore, debates about the relevance of feminism and post-feminism started happening due to the second wave of feminism. Radical feminist theory. Radical feminist theory questions the division of society into public and private spaces. It also sees family as an oppressive institution and patriarchy as a root cause of problems faced by women. Furthermore, it sees uprooting of the social structure as a way to women's empowerment. Hence, this school of thought was considered revolutionary. Personal is political was a slogan adopted by the school. One important contribution of the school has been the consciousness raising workshop method. In these workshops, women gathered in small groups to share their personal experiences to discover common grounds. The school further celebrated women's uniqueness and saw them as different rather than similar to men. This thought was furthered by Carol Gilligan in her work, which gave way to care-focused feminism. The school also questioned the sex-gender divide and introduced new debates in gender theory. Marxist and socialist feminist theory. It is quite difficult to distinguish between these two schools of feminist thought. On the one hand, classical Marxist feminists are influenced by the concepts laid down by Marx, Engels, Lenin, and other 19th century thinkers, and believe classism to be the root cause of women's oppression. On the other hand, socialist feminists don't necessarily agree that classicism is worse than sexism and blame capitalism and patriarchy to be equally responsible for women's oppression. They write in the context of Russia's failure to achieve socialism's ultimate goal of a classless society. After the 1917 Communist Revolution in USSR, women entered the workforce. They felt that economic independence will bring a lot of change for women. Unfortunately, rather than finding high-waged work, women found less valued work in the workplace, which was exhausting for them. Socialist women were not faring as well as men in the workplace, but it had no explanation in Marxism, which made them turn attention to the work they were doing in the domestic realm. Hence, Wages for Housework campaign was launched, which demanded that domestic labor be socialized. However, then feminists agreed that paying wages to women for housework was neither feasible nor desirable. Wages would have strengthened the sexual division of labor even further. Furthermore, women's suffering was not absent in socialist countries. It brought about the realization that the problem was much deeper for them. In the socialist countries, women found themselves to be doubly oppressed by working outside as well as doing all the domestic work at home. Hence, socialist feminists came up with two system explanations for women's oppression, which marked both capitalism and patriarchy as responsible for women's oppression. Important socialist feminists include Juliet Michel, Alison Jagger, Catherine McKinnon, Iris Marion Young, Sylvia Wolfe. Socialist feminists took up gender pay issues, reproductive issues, etc. They also found ways to engage the state to move towards a feminist jurisprudence. Postmodern feminist theory. Postmodern feminism is the school which rose in the second wave of feminism but influenced many third wave ideas. Postmodern feminism is normally identified with the works of Judith Butler and the debates about sex and gender. Judith Butler coined the term gender performativity to initiate this debate. In Gender Trouble, Butler saw sex, gender and sexuality as performances and challenged the biological conception of sex. Feminism was thus questioning the essentialist generalizations about men and women and averred that women or men could not be defined by one single label as their class, race, ethnicity, sexual orientation, disability as much defined them. In a way, feminism destabilized the gender dichotomy of men and women and rejected phallocentric thought. Moreover, feminists rejected any mode of thought that gave a single explanation for women's oppression or pointed to one way to their liberation. However, postmodernist feminists don't follow a single feminist thought. Important postmodernist thinkers are Lucy Irigaray, Julia Kristeva, Helen C. Sox and Judith Butler. Mention should be made of another influential feminist, Donna Haraway, who invented the concept of cyborg, which inspired cyber feminism. Post-feminism. The term post-feminism started emerging in the 1970s and 1980s to signal that the goals of feminism has been met and it is now dead. This concept arose as a critique of the second and third wave of feminism. Natasha Walter's book, The New Feminism, is a key post-feminist text. Post-feminism saw women as agents rather than victims and sexuality as liberating. Feminists like Camille Paglia, Kathy Rolfe and Pat Califia were associated with this movement. Post-feminism's rise signaled move towards a world without gender binaries and roles. Third wave of feminism. The third wave of feminism responded to the criticism that the second wave feminists faced of being elitist and addressing issues of only white upper class women. This phase started in the early 1990s and continued till the start of the fourth wave in 2010s. The emergence of Riot Girl, the feminist punk subculture and the Clarence Thomas Anita Hill hearings in the United States marked the beginning of the third wave. The biggest challenge this wave had was the fact that the second wave feminists were taken for granted and feminism wasn't deemed important. For third wave feminists, difference and change is the important feature. Third wave feminists proclaim themselves as the most inclusive kind of feminism and criticize the wave construct. The feminists in this wave focused on reclaiming feminism and influenced by postmodernism, they looked into a post-structuralist interpretation of gender and sexuality. Post-colonial feminist theory. Post-colonial feminism emerged as a critique of Western feminism. It rose as Western feminism was focusing only on the experiences of women in the West. It looked at racism and the after effect of colonialism on the non-white, non-Western women in the post-colonial societies. Post-colonial feminism questioned identity categories as natural and distinct groupings. Further, these feminists treated binary identity distinctions as unstable categories and made them a subject of critical analysis. Post-colonial feminists thus looked into all labels attributed to a woman and how intersection of all the categories influenced their level of oppression. Post-colonial feminism is criticized by many feminists for weakening the universal feminist movement by dividing it. Important post-colonial feminists include Gayatri Spivak, Chandra Mohanty, Kumari Jayawardene, Angela Davis. Black feminism Indian feminism, Dalit feminism are all described as post-colonial feminisms. Black feminist theory. Black women were dissatisfied with the women's movement and the failure of most feminists to address the problems faced by them. This led to the emergence of black feminism. Their experience of sexism, racism, and classism gave them a unique perspective or standpoint to look at society. Kimberly Crenshaw coined the term intersectionality, which looked into the overlap of various social identities such as race, gender, sexuality, and class, and how that contributes to the specific type of systematic oppression and discrimination experienced by an individual. Black feminists believe that black women suffer from disadvantages because they are black, because they are women, and because they are working class. Black feminists reject the claim that there is a single theory that can explain the position of women in society. It encourages the acceptance of many different points of view as equally valid. Important black feminists include Bell Hooks, Angela Davis, Patricia Hill Collins. Fourth wave of feminism. The 20th century witnessed a kind of revival of feminism dubbed the fourth wave of feminism. In the 21st century, usage of social media became popular, which encouraged this resurgence. Opposition to sexual harassment and violence has been the focus of this wave. This wave started in the 2010s. Scandals involving the harassment, abuse, and murder of women and girls galvanized the movement. Example, 2012 Nirbhaya rape case, the 2014 viral Bill Cosby allegations, and subsequent M2 movements. All these cases were widely reported and covered in print and television media since 2012. However, fourth wave feminism depends a lot on technology. Only the privileged and elite section of the society have access to digital media devices, and hence there is an inherent classism in this phase of feminism. Furthermore, social media activism might not translate into real activism and effort at times. Also, there is a lack of consensus about the arrival of the fourth wave. However, feminist voices speaking of revival of feminist politics are returning today, which speak of the fact that feminism is far from dead. Transforming feminism and gender theory. From the perspective of methodology and pedagogy, two key contributions of feminism have been the standpoint feminism and feminist pedagogy. Standpoint feminism. Standpoint feminism first emerged in the 1970s. Dorothy Smith, inspired by Karl Marx, founded the feminist standpoint theory that viewed the society from the unique perspective of women. Nancy Hartsock theorized standpoint feminism, basing it on Marxism to criticize patriarchal theories. Standpoint feminism has essentially analyzed systematic patriarchal oppression in society and its tendency to devalue women's faculties. Feminist standpoint theorists claim that women's lives and roles are very different from those of men and so produce a very different kind of knowledge. Later came up the black feminist standpoint theory, distinct from the theories of Smith and Hartsock. Black feminist standpoint argues that the knowledge about an individual or other social groups derives from multiple factors related to their historical position in society. Hence, feminist standpoint theory acknowledged the diversity of women here and welcomed the views of other oppressed groups of women. Black women were supposed to have access to knowledge about everyone, from the most oppressed to the most privileged, due to their social position. Feminist pedagogy. The basis of feminist pedagogy is to mix feminist values with the process and method of teaching. Feminist pedagogy seeks knowledge as socially constructed, which is influenced by one's identities and experiences. It critiques power imbalances in institutions of learnings and seeks to decenter power. Feminist pedagogy places the responsibility of education on the students rather than teachers and sees the best learning environment as one where students' opinion and ideas contribute to learning. Thus, students are looked upon as active knowers and facilitators of learning. Often, consciousness raising is seen as the core of feminist pedagogy. In the feminist classroom, the teacher and the student bring their own subjectivities and identities. Hence, personal experience becomes invaluable to learning. Feminist pedagogy not only challenges what is talked about in the classroom, but also questions the structure of the classroom. By using feminist pedagogy, participants learn to respect each other's differences, accomplish mutual goals, and help each other attain individual objectives. Critiques of feminist pedagogy have outlined the exclusive nature of the so-called inclusive feminist classroom, where experience is assumed to be white and heterosexual. Therefore, intersectional, all-inclusive pedagogy of consciousness raising renders feminist pedagogy groundbreaking. Feminist post-humanities. The influence of human beings on the environment is causing changes which has made the scientists to use the term anthropogenic. It signifies changes in geological, biotic and climatic planetary processes, including threatening ones, which is persuading many to term this epoch as the age of the Anthropocene. In this epoch, humanness and culture are getting entangled with the nature, matter and worldliness and is changing relationship between humans and environment. Hence, Jedediah Purdy claims that the Anthropocene is in important ways a slogan for the age of climate change. Today, environmental humanities is emerging as a multifaceted academic approach that seeks to understand the environmental challenges and how they are intricately interlinked to social, cultural and human factors. Discipline-oriented works are laying the foundation of this work. Feminist scholars form the interdisciplinary subfield in this approach that investigate nature and environment in relation to human culture. Key contributors in this area include Donna Haraway, Rosie Braidotti, Stacey Aliamo, and Myra Hurd. Back in the 1970s, the commonly held view among scientists was that nature was too big and humankind too small to impact it. However, ecofeminists were familiar with human impact on nature even back then. Gerda Gard is one ecofeminist who has been theorizing on the ecological facets for 3 decades. According to her, ecofeminism as a theory borrows from various strands of feminism and activism and is influenced by various movements: peace, women, anti-nuke, animal rights, etc. Furthermore, Heather Eaton and Louise Ann Lawrence see ecofeminism as an umbrella term for debates related to gender and environmental movements. Furthermore, one of the most important debates emerging today has been on climate change. Hence, gender emerges as an important critical social category in climate change discourse, which has implication for environmental justice. Therefore, environmental humanities need to explore the entanglement between human and non-human in the past and the future. For this, focus on new models of ethics needs to happen. This ethic is what is termed as post-human ethics and works towards cultivating relationship between human, other animals, water, lands and others. The development of such ethics is paying homage to lineages of feminist environmentalists and post-human scholarships. Feminist theory today is interdisciplinary and an innovator in dealing with many areas by dealing with bodies, nature, science and technology. Example: new materialisms, post-human ethics and new feminist science studies. However, it doesn't take one standpoint and is a multivariate tool of analysis, which will be useful for the next generation scholars of environmental humanities. The works of ecofeminist such as Caroline Merchant, Donna Haraway, Anna Singh, Stacey Alimo, Catriona Sadie-Lance, and Val Plumwood are crucial for their critique of the nature-culture divide and connection between modern individualistic humanism and the derogation of nature. Further, the feminist conception of intersectionality is crucial in understanding oppression through various lenses. Ecofeminism has been using such frameworks to understand connections between human and non-human animals. Hence, through feminist theory, important bridges for environmental justice, regional development, and decolonizing works are made. All this is crucial in the context of the Anthropocene. Furthermore, Haraway's work on situated knowledges, as well as some feminist work in science and technology, as well in human animal studies, have heightened the interest in feminist post-humanities. Conclusion. To sum up, waves or not, feminist and gender theories are important to question and ascertain everyday realities and keep feminism and feminist theory crucial as an academic discipline and an ideological movement. Gender and feminist theory is not only about women, it is about the world, engaged through critical intersectional perspectives. Despite many significant differences, most feminist theories are reliably suspicious of dualistic thinking and committed to being a political as well as an intellectual enterprise. In the end, I will leave every one of you with a few points of discussion to ponder. We covered a large area, and I hope it made sense to you. Research has an excitement of its own, and you will not understand its value till you experience it. So go ahead and start researching on something today. Try and use all the tips and suggestions that we have discussed today, and you will have a better understanding of any subject. That's all we have for today. Goodbye and take care.